The only days I slept without drinking alcohol was when I was sick. My friend, I reached a time when even I could not sleep with 100 shillings in the same house. Godfrey Otieno Chola sleeping and 100 shilling is resting there. That was no. People who really suffered because of my addiction and my family. Because I did very, very bad things to my family, my wife and my kids. I stole even my wife's clothes to go and sell to Mama Pimas, and they were buying them. I stole even the books for my kids. I can remember also the day also I faked my what? My son's death. Nikachukua picha yake, nikaweka kwa kitabu, nikaanza kutembea naye. My son is dead. My son is dead. And people could write for me. Drinking. They write changa. They write changa. That is how low I went. I went down and down. My name is Godfrey Otieno Chola. I'm a father of 4 kids. I was born in church, bred in church, and grew in church. So I'm a son of a priest, the firstborn of a family of 4. We are 4 siblings in our family. My story in addiction started way back in 1995 when I started experimenting with the altar wine. My father was a priest of the Anglican Church, so the altar wine was being used for the Holy Communion. So I was a partaker of the Holy Communion. So after taking the Holy Communion, during that time, the Holy Communion, the bottle or the wine was being stored in our house, in my father's bedroom. So in 1995, I started sneaking. I could sneak into my father's bedroom, have a glass of the altar wine, drink it, and then fill it again with water so that my father could not know that someone was interfering with the altar wine. After taking that, I found that it was so sweet. So I kept on taking it. I took it for some time. And when I was taking it, I was feeling high, I was feeling good. And then I had some very funny character. I became suddenly happy, outgoing. And at that time, I became the favorite because my father could say, oh, my son, this is my son, has a very strong personality. He didn't know that personality was a fake one because it was being influenced by the church wine. Me being the favorite child of my dad, after my Form 4, that was in 1997, my dad went out and looked for me a job with the ECK, the Electoral Commission of Kenya. Through his influence, I got that job. I worked there. We were the first registration clerks, the computerized registration clerks of 1997. The pay was good. I was being paid 500 shillings per day. Me, I was the senior clerk. So I started getting my cash. By then, I'd not started experimenting with other drugs. The only alcohol I knew was the church wine. After 2 weeks now, I met certain friends who are also working, whom we are working with as observers. So they told me, Godi, we've got cash. Can we go to quench our thirst here at a nearby pub here? So we went, we were 7. When we went there, they ordered beer. With me, it was soda. They took the first round, mine the first soda. Another round, I took the second soda. The third round, my third soda. So when we were at the third round, these people started having they started getting happy, feeling excited. They were happy, and I say, wow, why is that these people are happy? And with me, I'm still here drinking what? Soda. Can I order even one bottle of beer? And that is when I ordered my first drink. It was Ken Brew Lager. I took it. It was not nice in my when I was drinking. It was not good. It was not tasting well. So I mixed it with the Coke I was drinking. I drank it all. After that, I felt the same excitement I felt when I was taking what? The altar wine. And I say, wow, this is now good. I will no longer interfere with what? With the altar wine. Because the altar wine, it reached a moment when my dad had realized that someone was interfering with the altar wine. So when I tasted it and I got the same euphoria as the altar wine, I said, wow, now it is this. I took only one bottle, that bottle, and we dispersed. The next day, I took myself to the bar. And the next day, I ordered two bottles of Ken Brew Lager. I took it. After taking it, I felt good. I felt nice. I walked back to the house. I didn't know that first bottle of Ken Brew Lager could lead me to 23 years of serious addiction. I didn't know that. So, in the year 1998, my father had plans for me to take me outside the country to go study bachelor's in law. And he wanted me to go to India. And that is the year when my dad realized that I was consuming alcohol. And he realized that only after I'd started also experimenting with the traditional liquor. That is the busa and changa. How did I get there? With these friends whom I had while drinking beer in the bars, suggested something when we were drinking. Oh, Godi, this beer is so much expensive. Why can't we go try busa? Busa has the same effect as this beer. And to make it good is that once you drink it, you'll be full, you'll be satisfied. And I said, let's go, let's try. When we went there, a gorogoro of busa by then was 40 shillings. Very cheap. So we went there. I drank that busa. Yes, I felt the same effect as beer. Just as that day we drank. After that, they said, no, because we are so much full, we should go and dilute it with changa. So we passed by the changa den and we could dilute it. So because we were a group of young men who now are taking alcohol, we could intoxicate ourselves with alcohol, and then tukitoka pale kwa changa, coming back home, we could make noise, nini, kumbe. The worshippers or the congregation, some members of the congregation could see me, and they started reporting back to my dad. Oh, Padre, it's like your son has started drinking alcohol. We are seeing him outside there with several boys drunk. And my father was like, no, my son cannot do that. And during this time, when I came back to the house, I started isolating myself, because bedroom was my what? My place. So it went, and this day, I can remember I think it was in May of the year 1998. That is the day my dad saw the drunk me. And all these things were happening when we were staying in the vicarage. The vicarage is the what? Is the house. That house is the vicar in charge of a parish. So these things were happening when I was staying right inside the church compound. So that day I staggered myself inside the church compound. It was 9 in the evening, and I was drunk, seriously drunk. I was staggering, and I decided to go to use the back door. And by coincidence, when I went back, my father was also going there to close the door. So he was closing and with me opening. And when I opened, that light came and I staggered back. And I can't remember what my dad told me. He told me, Godfrey, Otieno, you are drunk. It is true you are drunk. I don't know what happened, but I found myself down. Later on, I came to realize that it was a kick from my dad. I didn't hesitate, but had to run away. I ran away, I went. And when I went and slept outside. I slept outside for 3 days. Because of that shame, I could not come back to the house. And because of what happened, my father went out and started looking for me. That was in 1998. He went and searched me all over. But by then, instead of me going even somewhere, I relocated to an estate in Kisumu, very well known with illicit drink. Inaitwa Obunga in Kisumu. And one day when I was walking the streets, my father met me and told me, Godfrey, go back to the house. There we turned and went back to the house. So back in the house, I was there. My father talked to me, telling me the effects of drug and how alcohol is bad and everything. But I didn't listen because by that time I thought that was the way it should be. I thought that was great because anytime I was drinking, I was the darling because I was so much talkative. I was the darling of everybody. That is, because of that experience, my father said, no, I'm not taking you to India. My son is going to die in India. Because you are drinking, no, going to India. Because India was known to producing addicts or alcoholics. Because during that time, there was a story going on that anybody who went to India came back drunk. So my father said that, no, he's not going to make the same mistake. I'm not going to India. So he offered me a plan B. And that is how, in 1999, I got admitted to Kisumu Polytechnic to pursue a diploma in computer studies. In Kisumu Polytechnic, when I joined there, it was a free world. Now I got where now things were, wow. I met other alcoholics. We formed a party in Kisumu, in Kisumu Polytechnic. The party was Chama cha Walevi. And I was the chairman of Chama cha Walevi of Kisumu Polytechnic. And I got involved into student what? Politics. So the politicians could use us, drinking left, right, and center. So I didn't even study in Polytechnic. The fees I was being given was drinking. The third year, I could not register for my exam because I drank all my school fees. So I didn't do my exam. But in that third year, again, I organized a strike in the college, and the college was closed. I was given an expulsion. And that's how my education in Kisumu Polytechnic ended. The only things I can produce today are the transcript, but the final exams I didn't do. Coming to the year 2022, I lost my dad. So we had to move out of from the church compound to go. My mom had to go and rent outside. By then, I had nothing. I was outside, not going to college, and that is when I met my wife. When I met my wife, she was working, and we started staying together. Me drinking. But through her influence, she secured for me a job at a certain bank in Kisumu. Inside the bank, another drunkard. By then, there was this alcohol, the sachets, the kumi. We used to call it Viva Katabakasi. So that I can remember, I worked there for only 1 year and was given summary dismissal because mine was drinking. And during that time is when now I started terrorizing my family. During that time, I could steal things from the house, go sell, to go buy alcohol to quench my thirst. I stole even my wife's clothes to go and sell to Mama Pimas, and they were buying them. I stole even the books for my kids, go steal. I stole them, go buy, go sell, quench my thirst. So all in all, the people who really suffered because of my addiction and my family, because I did very, very bad things to my family, my wife and my kids. So I could drink myself still in the streets of Kisumu until one day when now the bank manager, she was an Indian, met me when I was drunk after I had been sacked, and told me, Godi, this is you are going to die. Where's Flori? Flori is my wife. I say, Flori, you're just in the house. No, I want to help you. Where's Flori? And I eat a Flori. I ran and went, look for Flori. I told Flori, Irene, I want to see you. We went with my wife. When the bank manager saw her, told her, Flori, I want to help you. I want to take you to a certain school in Molo so that you can help this man. This man is going to die. She took my wife to Molo, and that's how my wife secured a job at St. Andrew's School, Turi. So after something like 1 month, I carried my kid. I told my kids, no, you are following your mom. I closed my door with the bag, poop, mpaka Molo. When I reached Molo, I looked for her, and then she told me, this is where I stay. And that's how I started staying in Molo. I became the laughing stock because during that time we were staying in the school estate. And the only man who was not working was me. At the same time, the only man was a serious alcoholic. People could tell my wife, you married, what kind of a man did you marry? This one is nothing. This one is nonsense. In the year 2009, I think the school administration saw some pity towards me and tried to employ me. So I was employed as a kitchen attendant. The one who could clean the utensils, cleaning the kitchen. At the same time, I was working with my wife in the same kitchen. My wife was a cook, and with me, I was a what? I was a kitchen attendant. So we were working at the same place. I only worked for 1 year because I could drink, and I come to work when drunk. There's a day I came when seriously drunk. The watchman stopped me at the gate, told me, no, you cannot get inside here. You are drunk. I started making noise there. They had to drag me to the school dispensary, tested me whether I was drunk or not. And because I was under influence, I really abused the estate manager, who was a white, speaking big English. They could not even hear anything about me. What they said sucked. I was not given any sacking letter, and that's how I lost my job. Come the year 2015, my wife lost her job. So we had to relocate from Molo to Kisumu. By this time, all my parents had passed on because I lost my mom in the year 2005. That is when I lost my mom. 2 years after losing my dad. So in 2005, I lost my mom. So here I was alone. So I hired a canter with my things, poop to Kisumu. When I reached Kisumu, I dropped my things by the roadside and started looking for a house in town. Just imagine Justus coming from a 2-bedroom house, and the next day you are sleeping in 1-room house, mud walled. To me, it was normal, but this thing really affected my wife and kids. So I continued drinking and stealing, I'm someone who could not see something and let it go. I had to ensure that I steal it, go sell it, to get some cash to go quench my thirst of alcohol. On several occasions, I could go to my siblings' houses, and there I could strike. And it reached a point when I went to visit any relative. The moment they set their eyes on me, all of them became a CCTV, because all eyes were on me, because they never knew, or they never knew when I could strike. But even though they were watching at me, I could strike. The only days I slept without drinking alcohol was when I was sick. But there are instances also that I faked some sickness. When I was down, I didn't have money, I faked sicknesses. I could go to a private hospital, tell them I want to be admitted so they could admit me. After being admitted, phone to my siblings and everybody who knew me. Oh, God is sick in the hospital. Everybody could come rushing, oh, this man, oh, yes, I'm sick, but not sick. I needed something, money. So after I could sleep there for 3 days. After that, I can't remember, there's a day my brother sent me 20,000 thinking that I was sick. Kumbe I faked that sickness in the hospital. He sent that. When I got it, nikaweka kwa mfuko, kasema bas. So I started persuading these guys to discharge me. When I was discharged, the first stop was the Changaden. And I could tell them, hey, bana, I'm just from the hospital, this is the Branola now. And I was drinking, hey, bana, you are drinking and umetoka osi. That was a fake sickness, bana. Let's drink. I was an absentee father. I was not there, because I was always drunk. So my wife was the father. At the same time, my wife was the mother. Anything could be needed in school. What I could hear while drunk, Mama, vitabu, Mama, this. So I was not there for my kids. I can remember there's a time even when I was I was banned from going to school. I can remember my son was in high school, at Kisumu Day High School in Kisumu. And during Parents' Day, my wife was going to work, and I was the person who had nothing. So I could find myself, I could go represent. And I can remember the reason why I was banned is that one day I went there, and the guard was like, no, you cannot get inside here because you are intoxicated. My friend, the mess I did there was worse. So it forced the school administration to ban me, not to get into school. So that is how it was. It was pathetic, 23 years of addiction. And I want to say that I carried the stigma associated with addiction for 23 years. that stigma of you being a son of a priest, at the same time a drunkard. Because I could remember people telling me, look at this one. What is wrong with you? Your father is a priest and you are drinking yourself silly. What is wrong with you? Kwendeni huko. Hakuna. No. I want to tell you, brother, I want to tell you again that I got saved almost 10 times. I could pass here and there's a crusade. When the crusade became so sweet, I could stand, hear the crusade. I became emotional. When they call, the altar call, I go there, I get saved. They say, today he's saved. After 1 week, I'm a good boy. The seventh day, drunk. And that's why nobody could give me any attention. They knew I was always a joker. And that's why even the church could not believe in anything I was telling them, because I was also a serious liar. Nilikuwa muongo, ule hodari. I'm someone who could get money from anybody. When I felt like drinking and I didn't have cash, I said, no, today it is Justus at a tour. My friend, the lies I could come with, utatoa. I can remember also, the day also I faked my what? My son's death. Kachukua picha yake, nikaweka kwa kitabu, nikaanza kutembea naye. My son is dead. My son is dead. And people could write for me. Drinking. The right changa. That is how low I went. I went down and down. After I'd reached rock bottom, when I was down there, nobody wanted to associate with me. I was rejected by my siblings, all of them. My friends rejected me. The only people I remained with was my wife and my kids. I reached that low to an extent that even drunkards, the people who were drinking with, could chase me from their table. That no, Godi cannot drink with us. Give him 200 shillings, he go buy chrome. So I could drink in the next table, and my fellas, other drunkards, they drink here with me, I'm back. And I can remember the instance that I could drink that kwendeni huko, mnafikiria nini mimi, I'm drinking, and other drunkards are chasing me. I said, no, something is wrong. My friend, I reached a time when even I could not sleep with 100 shillings in the same house. Godfrey Otieno Chola sleeping, and 100 shilling is resting there. That was no. That was an abomination. That 100 shillings could be there only if I had blacked out. But anytime I gained my conscience, I wake up, take that, hata kama ni saa 10 usiku, I take that 100 shillings to Mama Pima's, knocking doors. I can remember that the day 100 shillings was there, I woke up at 4, saa 10 usiku, knocking doors. I knock doors, oh Godi hakuna pombe, oh Godi hakuna pombe. Nilipata pombe almost 20 kilometers away. I drank it. Now coming back was a problem. So that is how low I went. I was rock bottom. I reached a situation whereby the church did not want anything to do with me. Reason? Anytime I felt like drinking and I had no money, I could go to the church staggering. Because I could tell them, yes, my father was a priest. My dad was a priest here. I need money. I want to go. I need money. My kids are going hungry. I need money. And I could cause kelele pale nini. And they, chukua henda. Toeni yeye hapa, toeni hapa. So it was worse, my brother. It was worse. And these things I'm saying because they are known. You go to the Diocese of Maseno South. There's no priest in the Diocese of Maseno South who does not know my story and the things I did in the church. You go to Kisumu town. I was known. I don't know why I was known. I was known because my father was a senior priest and had served in not almost all the parishes within the urban center of Kisumu town. So I was known. At that, ule kijana wa Pastor Mlevi. So Kisumu town and its environs was well known. And as I'm telling you, I knew every single changaden in Kisumu. So that is how low I reached. I reached whereby my siblings didn't want anything to do with me. And I was the firstborn. My fellow alcoholics whom we were drinking with didn't want to drink with me in the same table because I was a nuisance. Thirdly, most of the friends I was drinking with had died because of alcohol. I think I lost almost 20 friends because of alcohol in Kisumu. We only remained 2. The ones now who are telling me not to drink with everybody, we were not drinking together. But the guys we started with, in that 23 years of drinking, I lost all of them. The people who found us drinking, some are lame, because some were knocked by cars, some. So that is how I reached down there. And it came and dawned on me and said, now, Godi, what is wrong with you? All your life you've never been employed. The longest you've been employed is only 3 years because you worked in the bank for 2 years and also in Central School Turi 1 year. There's nothing you've done in your life. And also there's another incident which was so hurting. When I came back home and I started questioning my son who was in high school. Why didn't you do this and this and this? Do you know what my son did to me? He pushed me and I fell down. I said, wow. It has reached a point whereby even my son, who is still young, at only 15 years, could push me and I fall down. I didn't talk, but it hit me hard in the brain. I said, no, something must be done. And how can I do it? So those are the things lingering in my mind. And that's how I started knocking doors. I said, no, I have to do something. This is serious. There are instances I was walking this way and kids could come. Because when I was intoxicated, there's this song I like singing with kids. Veruda, 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 saingombe. And I could sing even 1 hour with kids. So anytime I was sober and passing that place, kids could come running. Veruda, 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 saingombe. That time, shame was in me. I said, wow, now what is this? I should not pass here because the kids will. I will only pass there when I'm intoxicated and drunk. Is when I can pass and dance with the kids. So I became the laughing stock of the entire town of Kisumu. The laughing stock of the padri's house. The laughing stock of the community. That is how low I was. So the turning point came in the year 2018. Nilikuwa nimetoka kwa nyumba asubuhi. I went to my normal changa drinking spree. From there, staggered my way back. I was drunk. And there's a friend of mine whom we were with him in the church. You know, during that time, I was not going to church. And for almost something like 20 years, I'd never stepped back to church. I said no to church. The only thing that could take me back to church is to go and look for cash. But going to pray, no. So that day I was walking and a friend of mine told me, Godi, sasa, hoja ni mtoto wa padri. Nisema, hey, mimi mtoto wa padri. Maiki kuna harusi inafanyika kwa church na ni mass wedding. Kasema, mass wedding. Na mimi ni mtoto wa padri na nilifanya nini? I married without doing what? Without doing a wedding. And yes, Fred is doing what? A mass wedding. I said, well, I'm going. I staggered going there to the church. And that's the first day I went back to church. Now, nikiongea na pastor sana nikiwa, but I was still intoxicated. I told the pastor, I used to call him chairman because he was my youth chairman when we were still young. But during that time, he was now the vicar in charge of the parish. I told him, Padre, I want to be included in that one, in that wedding program. It is a mass wedding? Yes. Tell me what is happening. I think, Godi, here we shall only need 15,000 and everything tutafanya. 15,000 only. Sawa. Put me there. That is how I found myself back to church. During that time, when they were organizing the wedding, so I could go to church. And then later on, I said, oh, this wedding is real. I went back and told my wife, do you know what? We are going to wed. There's a what? There's a mass wedding in church. My wife said, what? Mass wedding? I said, yes, we are going to mass wedding. We unacheza. Hakuna kitu nasema. So I went back to church. People are organizing theirs. People registered. We registered 16 people. 16. So I was among the 16. I had no cash, nobody to support me, no siblings to support me. So what did I do? I approached someone and told him, make me a cards, these small cards, written 200, 500, 200, 500. I'm going to sell these cards to raise cash for what? My wedding. And I did that. By then I didn't have a phone. I could not even own a phone. I could buy a phone today, the next minute I sell it, I drink. So I said now this, so I went out, sold these cards. Do you know what happened? I raised 45,000 shillings. I sold it and said, hey, usitumie, tuma kwa simu ya mama. Inapelekwa. Tuma kwa simu ya mama, inapelekwa. I raised 45,000 shillings. I called my wife, now wedding is 2 weeks to come. Now, canceling church, twende. Godi unanisumbua. Let's go. We went. This man seems to be serious. Because I didn't have a committee, I didn't have anything. My committee was the cards. So I did the cards, So 2 days to wedding. I don't have a gown, I don't have anything. And then I just started asking, nani alishafanya harusi hapa nisaidie na gown? A friend of mine said, hey, Godi, I have a gown. I did some wedding 4 years ago. Hebu kuja uangalia kama inafanya. I called my wife, well, come, let's go. Reaching there, when my wife put it on, fitting, ni kama yake alishona kitabu. Nikasema, this is now, take it to the laundry. We took it to the laundry, washed. The next day I told him, let's say to twende mitumba. We went to the mitumba den. I bought my coat and everything. Nice. I was clean. I paid everything, 15,000 to the church and everything. Now the day I didn't have a vehicle. The next day is when I tried my brother. Nikamwambia, bro, sasa. And that day he picked. Niaje, help me with your car. Yes, I'm bringing that car. Kumbe, the priest had persuaded them to come to the wedding. So they had to come because that is the same church my father was a priest. The next day, my wife and I was driven in a BMW X5 to church. And that's how I wedded. After the wedding, I said, wow, Jesus Christ. I organized for a function, and it became successful in this state I am. The way I'm drunk, I organized, and I raised 45,000. And in church, my wife wore the best gown and was in my best suit, and was also driven in one of the best vehicles, BMW X5. I'm great. I'm leaving alcohol. So from there, I started going back to church. No. That is when now I started knocking the doors, the church. I went to the priest, and I said, I'm a priest. Reverend. No. Something must be done. I managed to organize for a wedding. And I didn't have a committee. And I raised 45,000 shillings. No. Something must be done. You must fix me. So I was like asking them to take me to a rehab. What they could tell me, we are praying for you. I left it. I don't want prayers. What I need is a rehab. Pope nikatoka. I went to the bishop. I told the bishop, this thing happened. I need a rehab. We are praying for you. I said, no, don't want. So during that time, I was now walking left, right, and center looking for help. Walking left, right, and center looking for help. But on 25th January 2019, I had some little cash. And I was with my wife. I told him, now, let's go to town. On that day, I just put on my shabby clothes with the slippers red in color. The other side was blue. Going to town. I went to town, direct to my changa, the normal changa den. I drank 4 packets of what? Sachets of waragi. Waragi, this alcohol from Uganda, seriously abused in Nyanza. So I took it 4. I smoked my cigarette, staggered to the NACAD office. When I reached the NACAD office, I told the madam, thanks God I've found you here. It's either rehab or I'm dying here today. The madam looked at me and said, wow, what is wrong? I said, madam, it's either death or you are taking me to a rehab. I've been coming here every now and then. I think that statement touched the madam, and the madam said, no, Godi, sit there. And then I blacked out. After some time, someone came and tapped me and told me, Godi, are you ready for rehab? I said, yes, I'm ready for rehab. Take me now. That is how I found my way to the rehab. But before that, he told me, you go back to the house, get 1 or 2 things, and then come back. I told him, no. Those clothes and whatnot, they're finding me into the rehab. My wife will bring them. Take me to the rehab. They called the vehicle, I got inside, and I found myself into the rehab. And I got myself into the rehab when I was intoxicated, seriously intoxicated. The next day they called me, now when I was sober. Told me, Godi, do you know where you are? Yes, I know. This is a rehab. Now, we want to talk with your wife. I said, yeah, this is the number, talk to her. And this is the number of my brothers. Tell them that I'm here. They called my wife. My wife, the only thing she could say, thank you, God. That man has been looking for that help for a very long time. Help him. The clothes I'll bring after 1 week. When they called my siblings rejected me, even when I was in the rehab. They said, no, we don't want to hear anything about that man. That man, first of all, is a con man. That man has just conspired with you people to come and steal me. No, we don't want. The damage I'd caused to my family was so serious to an extent that they could not believe anything. So inside the rehab, I was there. After 1 week, my wife brought me the clothes. And I stayed there for 2 months without any visitation. I was just alone. Just now starting to reflect upon my life, coming out of myself, looking at myself, asking myself a lot of questions. And during this time, I was alone. And I could watch other families being visited, brought everything. With me, I was alone. And my wife visited me after 2 months with the kids. When they came, I looked at them and said, wow, these are my kids. Because my eyes started, now I started coming back to my normal senses. So we talked. I talked with them, and I started the healing process by making amends to them. I told them, I'm here because of ABCD, I'm here because of this and this, and I want us to be this and this and this. And we talked at length, and they were very happy with me. So after that, I told my wife, I'm going to be discharged on such and such a date. So when you come on Sunday. Because here I am here alone. And the only person who has been here with me is you. So come on Sunday. The first place I want to visit from here is the church. So after 1 month, my wife came back, took me, and then we went to church. When I went to church, the only thing I said, God, I'm here. Take charge of my life. I don't have anybody who is going to help me after rehab. I have a wife who is just doing some menial jobs in town, washing clothes for people, cooking for some Indians in town. He had no proper job. And I remembered the serenity prayer. I said, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That was what I did. I said, from church straight to the house. When I reached where I used to stay, my friend, I shed tears. I didn't believe that I was staying in a shanty. Here was my wife and my kids. Very happy seeing their dad coming back, a little bit changed. But when I set my eyes, penye nilikuwa naishi, I was in tears. I said, Jesus Christ, how did I end up staying in this kind of a house? Because it was a house I was paying 1,500, a mud wall house. Bed bugs were my what? Fellow inhabitants of the house. Because I can remember when I got in the house, Kakachini, with the first thing ilikuwa the bed bug. Jesus, this is my house. How did I end up being here? So I started asking myself a lot of questions. How? Even I told my wife, Flo, how did we end up here? Ati si ulikuwa unakunywa pombe? Nikasema hii mambo ya pombe achana nayo. Leave it. So from there I just started sitting down and said, Jesus Christ, what is happening here? How? Because nobody is here to support me. Nobody is here to encourage me. Nobody is here to even show me the way. And I say, God, it is you. So the next day I woke up very early in the morning because I didn't want anybody to see me getting into that kind of a house. So I could sneak behind the house to town. I go to the park, just alone, just praying alone. I say, God, now what am I going to do? What am I going to do now? I'm here, yes. What am I going to do? And then something came to me and told me, no, Godi, what you do first, go make amends with your siblings. So I started calling them. I called them. And good riddance through my prayers. They agreed. My follower agreed. And I went and met him and made amends. I said, God, I've done my part. So it is you to work on him. My sister came. I talked with my sister. We made amends. Up to this time, we are in good terms with her. My younger brother, I called him. He came after 1 month. I went and made amends. And I say, God, I've done my part. Now it is upon you to do everything. I went back to church, made amends with the church and the people whom I had hurt. And then I said, I'm free. So I used to pray. Naenda kwa park peke yangu, nakaa hapo, I'm just praying and say, God, what am I going to do? Because nobody's going to believe me. Here I am, nobody's going to believe me. How am I going to manage? From there I said, now, let me walk. So I could walk just in the streets of Kisumu. And on this day I met a friend of mine who has been with me up to this time. He's a friend of mine whom I also did some damage with him. I can remember when I was from Molo in 2015, he welcomed me to his office. And because of my drinking problem, I also started stealing things in the office. And even I stole his the flash disk. And even that day, when I stole his flash disk, he came to my house, arrested me and took me to the cells. Later on, he removed me. So when I was walking the street, I met him. And for the first time, I found someone who believed in me. When he saw me, pop! Do you know what he said? He said, Godi, this is you. I know you. You are clean. You are sober. I can see it. I said, Billy, I'm sober. How can you see it? But I know you. You are sober. Let's go for lunch. So from there, he started showing me, no, Godi, what you should do, just register a property company in Kisumu. And I registered a property company. Just as within 1 month, I had made 100,000 shillings. We sold a property at 1 million. Commission, 10%, 100,000. He told me, you pesa ni yako yote. What did I do? I thought back. Kasema, no, my house. I cannot stay in that shanty. I went back and told my wife, tunahama kesho. I cannot stay in this shanty. My wife was like, oh, can we go? Will you manage? And then we are going. We are going tomorrow. And then from that house, and we looked for a 1-bedroom house, and then we went there. And then I told her, these chairs must be repaired. So we took the chairs to the fundi and they were repaired. And then the house started looking at least better. That man stood with me up to this time when everybody did not want to associate with me. Not only that, not that I didn't do harm to him. Him also experienced the harsh. He also experienced the things I did to other people. But I don't know what happened to him. He believed in me. So is that person whom we've been together with, he's shown me how to fish in that town. And today I can say my family is well off. The things I could not do, today I'm doing them. The fees I could not pay, I'm paying the fees. And I thank God because my son is in college today. My daughter in college today. And this daddy who could not pay anything some few years ago, 5 years ago, today can comfortably pay the school fees. This daddy whose kids could not even eat meat. Because my house, the diet mostly was veggies. Today, my kids can eat whatever they want. The kids who some years back were just drinking strong tea. Since God restored me back and gave me my sobriety, my kids have never gone hungry. Because the God whom I serve has been providing. And that's why I say every time I share my story, there's some 2 people I have to mention in my story. Madam Esther, the regional Nakada, the regional coordinator Nakada, Nyanza region. Thank you, Mama. Thank you wherever you are. Billy Oduto, you are my brother. At the same time, my friend. I never knew that one day I could stroll in the streets of town of Kisumu and people could whisper, looking at me and saying, Godi, this is Godi. Sometimes when I sit down and look at my wife, I see that guardian angel that the good Lord sent to me. And when I see her, I see something like God was trying to work something smart behind the curtain so that I could not lose my life. Because during all these years, almost 18 years of marriage, because I married her when I was an alcoholic. Those 18 years of marriage, she was the sole breadwinner of the family. She took care of me like her child. I can remember there are instances when she could come pick me where I had blacked out, carry me in a tuk-tuk, or sometimes just walking with me, holding me. And she could be mocked by passers-by, saying, huyu ametengeneza nao nyumbani. Mano losgo mwandu in Kijaluo. Huyu ametengeneza nao mali. And she could say, that is my husband. When we were working at St. Andrew School, Turi, and I know people are going to watch this, the people whom we were with at St. Andrew School, Turi, and if they are watching me, they know that the story I'm talking about is true. Some went as far as even telling my wife to leave this drunkard husband. Do you know what my wife could tell them? That, leave that drunkard for me. I'm the person who knows his worth. Without her, I could be dead. That one's for sure. She clothed me when everybody had ran away from me. Siblings, people were closer with me, ran away. But she stood by my side. And it is as if it reached a point when now he said, this is how I'm going to live. It's as if she had set her mind that change was not forthcoming. That only this way is going to live the rest of her life. But through God's grace, God intervened through other human beings, and today I'm restored back to my normal sense. Secondly, my character, and this one I want to admit, has really changed. And sometimes I go and look at myself in the mirror and say, is this truly me? The former me? No, this is not me. Because I went through total transformation. And this one I want to acknowledge. My character really changed, seriously changed, to an extent that even the people who are closer to me cannot understand who I am today. Because they were used to that drunkard, Godfrey. So my wife is as if my wife has gone back to class to learn the husband. She does not know the husband up to this time. I'm sharing this story. Because the person he knew for 18 years is no longer this person he's seeing today. Total transformation, total change, the way he thinks, the way he does everything. And to make it fun, to nice it all, is that when I started this journey of recovery, I said no to all friends in my life and started looking for new friends. The friends I have today are new, totally new. The friends whom we used to drink with, I said no, X. Secondly, I no longer visit the places like the bars and everything. I no longer do that. I said those are triggers. I don't go there. Third, I don't even take the what? The things. That is the alcohol, the everything. I said no. To an extent of even not doing what? Taking the Holy Communion. Because the problem of my addiction started there. I want to tell you, brother, that most in the Anglican Church, you'll find that so many, the children of the priests are so much affected by addiction, alcoholism. And they don't know where the problem is. And I did my study. You find that even some priests in the Anglican Church are affected. Do you know where the problem comes from? The altar wine. Because it is 22% alcoholic volume. That means it has a high percentage of what? Alcohol. So you may find that even some priests may drink it, and that one can lead to addiction. Because someone like us, we were born addicts. And I came to realize that I have the X factor. That any time I taste something like alcohol, I may find myself relapsing. And that's how I said X to drugs. So I did some serious changes in my life to an extent that people who are closer to me, some do not understand who this person is. But to some who knew me before, they really appreciate who I am today. Because they are seeing that my former self, who was not drinking. And that's why any time I have any difficulty, I run to the serenity prayer, asking the Almighty to give me that peace of mind. We say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. There are some things in our lives that I cannot change. I will never change the fact that I'm an alcoholic. The only thing I'll do is not to drink that alcohol. And that's the power I have asked God to give me, so that I can change those things. And that's why I said no to even the altar wine. And there's something here I want to tell you, brother, that there's this thing which people tend to abuse now. And it is leading people into addiction. The energy drink known as Predator and these things. Those things lead people to, because they are addictive. I can remember there's a day I said, let me drink this Predator. When I drank the half of it, my body chemistry changed. And they say, well, I'm feeling like kama nimesmoke. What is wrong with my body? Nichukua your bottle, I threw it. And I'm seeing so many people around in Kisumu where drinking it. When you go to the label there, it is written, high percentage of caffeine. So, I always tell people, even the people whom I've recovered through my story and whom I intervened and took to certain rehabs, and God got what? Got help. That you may stop that drink, hiyo pombe unakunywa hiyo, the alcohol. And there are some things yenye they don't let go. For example, you don't drink and you smoke. This smoke will lead you back to the drink. This is what I always tell them. Someone may stop alcohol and smokes bang. Bado unatamani what? Kulewa. Na vile style ya kulewa ndio hautaki ile ya pombe. It will lead you back to there. And that's why today, brother, I'm an advocate of total sobriety. Total sobriety. I did it. I used to smoke. I used to sniff I used to inject, I used to drink, I used to do all manner of drugs. And when I said no, it was total no. And that's why I came up with this thing, sobriety movement. So my sobriety movement is a movement that is trying to tell people that it is possible to become sober. The only requirement towards recovery is to admit that you have a problem. And how can we do it? We do it by telling people that we do recover. There's a day I was in the courts of Kisumu. That day I was very smart. I went to do some things in the court, those legal things. So I was standing at the entrance there. There's some two women who passed me. And I heard one whispering to the other, saying, "Wow, look at this man. Is this not that drunkard? Look at him. This man looks handsome." And the other one also turned and looked at me and said, "Yes, he's the one. Yeah, he's the one." Do you know what that thing did to me? It came and dawned to me and said, "Wow, Jesus, that is how I was. Look at these women talking about me. God, what have I done? What have you done into me?" Do you know what I did, my brother? I went behind the courts and knelt down and said, "God, thank you. You've done a great thing into my life. If this thing, some people can see it outside, then you've done a great thing." And that's why I say now, it is time for us to go out here and help families who are suffering. And that's how sobriety movement came into being. Out of this time, sobriety movement is something which has not gone out full blown. So when I did that, so people started coming to me, coming inbox, some were calling me. And I said, "Now, God, what can I do to help these people?" And through support of some rehabs in Kisumu, they could give me something known as pro bono. Pro bono is that they admit free of charge, and through my word, through my influence or my persuasion. So when they could give me and say, I go outside there, identify an individual who is in need, I take to a rehab. And today I can say that I can accordingly state today that I have 5 people who are recovering after me intervening and taking them to a rehab through a pro bono offers. And I want to thank some rehabs in Kisumu that has really helped me achieve this. Nolan James Rehabilitation Center in Kisumu has taken 3, and all are now discharged. And we have also Dove Rehabilitation Center in Kisumu, who also admitted 2, and today they are out and they are recovering. Because I don't believe that recovery, people tend to tell me that there's something like it is spiritual. I don't believe like that. This thing is a disease, and it's a disease which is mental. Once you regain that mind and you become sound mind, and you can have the power to make informed decisions, you can defeat this evil known as what? Addiction. I always tell people, like yesterday I was arguing with somebody, I told him, no, this thing is not spiritual. Do you know how many times I was saved? I was just being saved because people were being saved, but it didn't come from me. This thing must start from where? Here. So it is high time we go sit down with people and let them know that they can recover. And they can only recover when they admit that they have a problem. And this way of admitting must start from where? From the brain. I didn't even share the one because it is not only alcohol I was using. I'm somebody who did all manner of drugs. Bang. I started smoking bang in 1992. That is when I was in standard 8. And I smoke it. I smoke it. And I smoked bang for almost 10 years. Nobody knew I was smoking bang. How did I leave bang? There's a day when I was in Kisumu Polytechnic. We went and smoked bang. And I went for a cut. In that cut, I got 01/30. The reason I was meditating, just writing my name, not thinking I was blank. After that, I told when I was sober, the papers were brought. I found myself nimepata 01. I told the lecturer, give me that paper. I want to do it when I'm sober. I was talking to myself. When I did it, I got 25 out of 30 without any revision. Because I'm no bang. That's how I left bang. Later on, I experimented with heroin, the brown sugar. I did that. But the high was not good because I could get drunk for even 3 days. There I said no. Now I was left with 2. Cigarettes and what? Cigarettes and alcohol. That is what now I was left with. And these 2 made me sleep with the chokoras in town, made me spend time on the streets of Kisumu, and any place that was good for me. So that is how deep this thing took me. I was down, my brother, down. But I want to encourage people outside there, even the families who are suffering, that recovery is possible.